Cedar Mill, abandoned after a mysterious accident, was said to be haunted by a creature that lurked in its shadows. A chilling sentence, isn't it? This ominous sight, shrouded in a cloak of eerie tales and whispered rumours, had an undeniable allure. It called out to the curious and the brave, almost like a siren's song. Two such adventurers were Meer and Chris, college students with a thirst for the unknown. They were not deterred by the whispers of the ghostly presence that was said to inhabit the mill. Instead, they were drawn to it, their curiosity piqued by the prospect of uncovering the truth behind the rumours. One stormy evening, armed with courage and flashlights, they found themselves standing before the mill. The sky growled and grumbled, lightning splitting it at intervals. As thunder rumbled, they climbed through a broken window, their flashlights illuminating broken machinery and piles of sawdust. The silence was unnerving, broken only by the occasional drip of water. Then they heard it, a faint scratching sound. "Probably a raccoon," Chris said, trying to sound confident. His voice echoed in the cavernous space, bouncing off the walls and adding to the eerie ambience of the mill. With each echoing sound, their heartbeats quickened, their breaths becoming shallow and hushed. The scratching persisted, a low, relentless sound that seemed to come from all around them. It was an unsettling symphony, a jarring contrast to the deafening silence they had grown accustomed to. "Just a raccoon," Chris repeated, more to himself than to Meer, trying to dispel the growing sense of unease. But the scratching grew louder, more insistent. It was no longer a simple scratching, but a deliberate, predatory sound. It was as if the very walls of the mill were closing in on them, as if the mill itself was alive, breathing heavily in anticipation of its next meal. The heavy breathing joined the scratching, filling the air with a palpable tension. It was an ominous soundtrack to their nightmare, a chilling harmony that sent shivers down their spines. The breathing was too heavy, too deep, too close. It was not a raccoon. It couldn't be. Chris and Meer held their breath, their hearts hammering in their chests. The silence that followed was deafening. And then, in the inky blackness, a pair of eyes emerged. Glowing with a predatory gleam, they stared at the terrified pair from the shadows. It was a gaze that promised no mercy, a gaze that sent a chill coursing through their veins. Panic set in. They bolted for the exit, but the creature's growls echoed behind them. The sinister ambience of Cedar Mill had become their nightmare. The unseen lurker, lurking in the shadows, was now a horrifying reality, its presence announced by the grating growls that seemed to shake the very foundations of the abandoned mill. Meer and Chris, their hearts pounding like drumbeats in a macabre symphony, raced through the darkness, their flashlights casting eerie, dancing shadows on the dilapidated machinery. The walls of the mill seemed to close in on them, the air growing colder, denser, the smell of damp wood and decay now mixed with their own fear. The creature's growls grew louder, more insistent. It was a sound that seemed to echo from the depths of their nightmares, a primal roar that spoke of hunger and malice. It was a chase, a terrifying game of cat and mouse, only this cat was an unseen terror, and they were the hapless mice. Chris, his hands slick with sweat, held Meer's tightly, their fingers interlacing in a desperate grip. They could feel the creature closing in, the air around them pulsating with its monstrous intent. Meer stumbled, tripping over a loose piece of machinery. Chris, his heart in his throat, yanked her up in a swift, adrenaline-fueled motion. They plunged forward, their breaths ragged, their bodies pushed to the limit. The growls seemed to be right behind them, the creature's breath almost tangible on their necks. But they didn't dare to look back, didn't dare to acknowledge the terror that pursued them. Have you ever felt pursued by something you couldn't see? Beware the shadows of Cedar Mill. That's the lingering sentiment from our chilling tale tonight. A tale of two curious souls, Meer and Chris, who dared to venture into the unknown, guided by nothing more than their courage and flashlights. They say that fear is the anticipation of pain, and it is in the unknown where this anticipation grows the most. Picture this, the chilling winds whistling through the broken windows, the oppressive darkness of the abandoned mill, the eerie silence punctuated by the distant rumble of thunder. And then the scratching, the breathing, the glowing eyes. The unknown took form in Cedar Mill, but what form remains a mystery. Now I ask you, What do you fear? Is it the darkness that engulfs you, leaving you blind to the world around you? Or perhaps it's the sound of the unknown, the unexplainable noises that echo in the stillness of the night? Or maybe it's the feeling of being watched, of being pursued by something unseen. Whatever it is, remember, these fears live in the shadows of Cedar Mill. And so the tale of Cedar Mill remains unresolved. The secrets it holds, the fears it harbours, are left to linger in the darkness, adding to its suspense and mystery. It's said that every place holds a story, but some stories are better left untold. So the next time you find yourself in a place shrouded in mystery, remember the tale of Cedar Mill. Remember the fear that lurks in the shadows. Remember the anticipation of the unknown. And tread carefully, for you never know what might be lurking in the shadows. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe and follow us for more. Join us on TikTok and YouTube for more bone-chilling chronicles. If you dare,